I turned my janitor job into a $400 million cleaning company after everyone mocked me. Now my sister, ex-husband, and grandparents are furious I refuse to clean the mess they made of their lives. Hello, my people. Don't forget to hit subscribe, say hi below, and share your location. We love seeing our family from all over the world. Let's get into the story. The fluorescent lights hummed above me as I scrubbed vomit off the bathroom floor at 3 in the morning. My rubber gloves were torn, my back screamed, and somewhere in the building I could hear laughter. Rich, entitled laughter. This was my rock bottom, but I didn't know it yet. What I did know was that 6 hours earlier, my husband Mark had served me divorce papers at my grandmother's house, in front of everyone, during what was supposed to be a family dinner. "You're an embarrassment, Shanice," he'd said, his voice dripping with disgust. "I married a woman with ambition. Now look at you, scrubbing toilets for minimum wage while my colleagues' wives run boutiques and wellness studios." My sister Tracy had snickered into her wine glass. "Girl, I told you he was too good for you. Should have kept that office job instead of chasing some ridiculous business dream." But here's what they didn't know, what nobody knew. That ridiculous business dream was already taking shape. 3 months earlier, I'd registered Clean Slate Solutions LLC with my last $300. I had 5 commercial clients, all small businesses who appreciated my attention to detail and reliability. I was still working this janitor job to keep the lights on, to fund my startup, to prove everyone wrong. "Mark," I'd whispered, my hands shaking as I held those papers. "I asked you for 6 more months. Just 6 months to show you this could work." He'd laughed. Actually laughed. "6 months? Babe, you've been playing businesswoman for a year. It's pathetic. Sign the papers." My grandmother, Mama Ruth, had nodded in agreement. "Child, your grandfather and I didn't raise you to chase fantasies. That man has a good job at the bank. Don't be stupid." Now, staring at my reflection in that dirty bathroom mirror, something inside me crystallized into diamond-hard resolve. They wanted to see failure. I'd show them empire. I met James Whitmore purely by accident, or maybe it was fate disguised as a coffee spill. I'd just finished an early morning cleaning shift at the Riverside office complex when I backed into him outside the building, sending his espresso cascading down his $1,200 suit. My stomach dropped. This was it. I was going to get sued or fired or both. "Oh God, I'm so sorry." I grabbed napkins from my cleaning cart, frantically dabbing at the stain. "Please let me pay for dry cleaning. I can." "Stop." His voice was firm but not unkind. He was older, maybe late 50s, with silver hair and sharp eyes that seemed to calculate everything. "You work for Service Clean?" "Sir." "I'm so sorry, Their janitors wear blue uniforms. Yours is green." He tilted his head. "You're independent." Something in his tone made me stand straighter. "Sir, I own Clean Slate Solutions. I'm building a commercial cleaning company. Service Clean handles this building, but I was visiting a potential client on the 4th floor." "Interesting." He pulled out a business card. "James Whitmore. I own Whitmore Properties. 15 commercial buildings in this city, and I'm tired of Service Clean's mediocre work and inflated prices. Can you handle that scale?" My heart hammered. 15 buildings? That was $2 million in annual contracts. But I had 5 employees, barely enough equipment, and operated out of my studio apartment. "Mr. Whitmore, I appreciate the opportunity, but I should be honest. I'm small. Really small. I'd need time to scale, to hire, to. I like honest." He smiled slightly. "Most contractors lie, promise the moon, then deliver garbage. How about this, you take 1 building. 3-month trial. Impress me and we'll talk about the rest. Fair. More than fair." I shook his hand, noticing he didn't even flinch at the coffee still dripping from his sleeve. "You won't regret this, Mr. Whitmore. Call me James. And Shanice." He'd already turned to leave but glanced back. "I saw you through that window last month training your team. You were teaching them about pride in work, about treating every space like it belonged to their grandmother. That's not just business, that's character. Don't let anyone convince you it's worthless." 6 months into the Whitmore contract, everything changed. We'd expanded from 1 building to 7. I'd hired 30 employees, leased warehouse space, bought industrial equipment. Revenue hit $700,000, and I was finally, starting to believe this was real. That's when Tracy called. Shanice, it's Dad. Her voice cracked with tears. He's in the hospital. Heart attack. They're saying he needs surgery and insurance won't cover it all. We need $60,000. My father. The man who'd called me a disappointment when I left my corporate job. Who'd stood beside Mark during that horrible dinner, saying I'd never amount to anything on my own. But he was still my father, and my chest tightened with old wounds and new guilt. Tracy, I have some money now. The business is doing well. Tell me where to send it. Wait, seriously? Her tone shifted instantly from grief to calculation. You have $60,000? Shanice, damn. Maybe that cleaning thing isn't so ridiculous after all. I wired the money that afternoon. No contract, no repayment plan, just a daughter's love for a father who'd never shown her the same. 3 weeks later, Dad recovered beautifully. I visited him at Mama Ruth's house, expecting maybe a thank you, perhaps even an acknowledgement that I'd been right about my business. Instead, I walked into an ambush. Mark was there. So was Tracy, Mama Ruth, my grandfather, and my father, looking healthy and holding a glass of bourbon. There she is, Dad announced. Our little cash machine. The room went cold. Excuse me. Tracy smiled sweetly. Girl, we've been talking. You're making good money now with this cleaning business. Real good money. And family takes care of family, right? So here's the thing. Mark needs an investment for his startup. $50,000. Grandma and Grandpa need their roof replaced. $20,000. And I'm trying to open that boutique I've always wanted. $40,000. That's $110,000. I felt dizzy. You're asking me for... Not asking, Mark interrupted, his voice smooth and entitled. You owe me, Shanice. I supported you through college. Paid rent when you were building this little company. You divorced me. You called me pathetic. My grandfather stood up, his voice booming with that old authority that used to make me shrink as a child. Girl, don't you raise your voice in this house. We are your family. We raised you, fed you, clothed you. Now you've got money and you think you're too good to help us? That's not how we do things. Something inside me snapped. Not with rage, but with clarity. Cold, crystalline clarity. Let me understand this. Dad, you needed $60,000 for surgery 3 weeks ago. Life or death, Tracy said. I wired it immediately, no questions asked. Now you're standing here, bourbon in hand, demanding more. That's surgery money? Dad shrugged. Insurance covered most of it. But you were so eager to help, we figured why not take what you offered? Consider it back payment for 18 years of raising you. The room swam. Back payment. And honestly, Tracy added, examining her nails, you should be grateful we're even including you in family decisions. Remember how you used to be? So desperate for our approval? At least now you're useful. I turned to Mark, the man I'd loved for 7 years. And you? You destroyed me during that divorce. Called me worthless. Made me sign papers giving you everything. The car, the savings, the condo we bought together. You said I deserved nothing because I chose playing businesswoman over being a proper wife. Things change. He smirked. Back then you were a broke janitor with delusions. Now you're a broke janitor who got lucky. That money you're making? I deserve half. We were married during your startup phase. We were divorced before I made a single dollar. Doesn't matter. He leaned back confident. My lawyer says otherwise. So here's the deal, Shanice. Give us what we're asking for now voluntarily, or I'll sue you for half of everything. And trust me, I'll win. You're not smart enough to have protected your assets properly. Mama Ruth nodded. He's right, baby. You were always the slow one in the family. Good heart but not much sense. Just be a good girl and help your family. That's what God would want. I looked around the room at these people who shared my blood, who'd shaped my entire life, who I desperately tried to please for 32 years. And I saw them clearly for the first time. No. The word hung in the air like a grenade. What did you say? My father asked, his face darkening. I said no. To all of it. No investments, no roof, no boutique, no payback for raising me, which by the way is called being a parent, not an investment strategy, and definitely no giving Mark a single penny of something he spent a year telling me I'd fail at. Tracy laughed, but it sounded nervous. Shanice, you're being dramatic. We're family. No, family doesn't lie about medical emergencies to steal money. Family doesn't mock your dreams and then demand profit sharing when those dreams succeed. Family doesn't ambush you in what's supposed to be a safe space. I stood up, grabbing my purse. You want to know what's funny? I came here today planning to tell you all something important. Something I was excited about. What? Mama Ruth asked suspiciously. Last week I signed a contract with Whitmore Properties for all 15 of their commercial buildings. Annual revenue, $2 million. This morning I closed a deal with the city for municipal building maintenance. $3.5 million over 2 years. Yesterday, a private equity firm offered me $20 million for 40% of my company. I turned them down because I want to build this myself, but it means Clean Slate Solutions is valued at $50 million. The room went silent. Absolutely silent. I watched their faces transform from smug to shocked to calculating in seconds. And you know what I was going to do? I was going to set up trust funds for any future nieces or nephews. I was going to pay off Mama Ruth and Papa's mortgage. Not the roof, the whole house. I was even going to offer Tracy a job with benefits and real salary, because despite everything, I thought she deserved a chance at stability. Well, that's wonderful, baby. Mama Ruth stood quickly. See? This is what family does. We support each other. Now about those trust funds. I was going to do that. Past tense. I walked toward the door. But then I walked into this room and learned that my father's heart attack was exaggerated to scam me. That you all sat around this table planning how to extract money from me. That Mark thinks he can bully me into funding his lifestyle. So here's what's actually going to happen. Nothing. You get nothing. Mark stood up fast, his chair scraping. You're making a mistake. My lawyer will find that I incorporated my business 3 months after our divorce was finalized. Every dollar I've made has been post-separation. You have no claim. But please do try to sue me. I've got excellent lawyers now and they'd love the billable hours watching you lose. I opened the door and looked back one last time. Don't call me again. Any of you. If there's a real emergency, and I mean real, verified by doctors and ambulances, you can email my assistant. Otherwise, I'm done cleaning up after people who see me as a mop. Papa stood up, his face red with rage. You walk out that door, girl, you're not our family anymore. I stopped being your family the moment you priced our relationship at $110,000. Goodbye. Leaving that house felt like shedding a skin I'd been trapped in my whole life. The next 18 months were a blur of contracts, hiring, training, and expansion. James Whitmore became an unofficial mentor, introducing me to his network of property owners and business leaders. Clean Slate Solutions grew from 30 employees to 300. We expanded into 3 neighboring states. Revenue hit $27 million. But success brought new challenges. And new enemies. I hired a woman named Destiny Cooper as my operations director. She was brilliant, sharp, organized, with a background in logistics that transformed our scheduling and routing systems. She was also Tracy's best friend from college, something I didn't learn until 3 months after hiring her. Shanice, we need to talk about the Henderson account, Destiny said one morning, walking into my office with a tablet. They're complaining about inconsistent service. 3rd complaint this month. I frowned. Henderson was one of our biggest clients. 8 medical office buildings, $1.2 million in annual revenue. That doesn't make sense. I personally oversee their quality checks. What specific issues are they raising? Missed shifts, incomplete cleaning, rude staff. She handed me the tablet showing email chains. Look, maybe you're spread too thin. You're trying to do everything yourself. Why not delegate Henderson to me? I'll handle the relationship, smooth things over. Something felt off. Destiny was good at her job, but she'd been pushing hard lately to take over client relationships rather than operations. Let me talk to Henderson directly first. Set up a meeting for tomorrow. Her expression flickered, annoyance maybe, before smoothing back to professional. Sure. I'll set it up. That meeting changed everything. I sat across from Robert Henderson expecting to address service complaints. Dad, he looked confused. Complaints? Shanice, your service is impeccable. Best we've ever had. Why would you think we're unhappy? My blood ran cold. My operations director said you'd emailed complaints. Multiple times. I've never emailed complaints about your service. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through messages. The only emails I've sent were praising your team. Wait, here's one from last week complimenting your night crew supervisor. Is there some communication mix-up? Can you forward me every email you've sent to anyone at Clean Slate in the past 6 months? 20 minutes later, sitting in my car, I reviewed the emails. Every single praise-filled message had been sent to destiny@cleanslatecorp.com. Not our company email, but a personal account Destiny had set up. She'd been intercepting Henderson's communications and fabricating complaints to me while telling him that our company was struggling, that I was overwhelmed, and that she was planning to start her own competing cleaning business that could better serve his needs. I didn't confront Destiny immediately. Instead, I did something I'd learned from James. I investigated thoroughly before acting. What I found made my stomach turn. Destiny had been systematically stealing from me for 8 months. She'd created shell vendors for supplies that didn't exist, skimmed overtime payments, and worst of all, she'd been recruiting my best employees to jump ship to a company she was building in secret. A company funded by none other than my sister Tracy and my ex-husband Mark. The paper trail was damning. Tracy had invested $40,000, the exact amount she'd asked me for. Mark had put in $50,000. They'd registered Elite Cleaning Solutions 6 months ago, with Destiny as CEO and my family members as silent partners. The business plan, which I obtained through a contact at the business registration office, literally stated, leverage insider knowledge from Clean Slate Solutions to undercut and acquire their client base. They weren't just competing with me. They were planning to destroy me using my own company's information. I called an emergency meeting with my leadership team, excluding Destiny. My CFO, Andre Williams, had already flagged some of the financial irregularities. I've been trying to track down these vendor payments for weeks, he said, spreading printouts across the conference table. The companies don't exist. The bank accounts they're wired to? All trace back to an LC registered to someone named Tracy Patterson. My sister, I said quietly. The room went still. She's partnered with my ex-husband and our operations director to steal from us and build a competing company. They've been using Destiny's position to gather intelligence, poach clients, and drain our resources. My head of HR, Patricia, looked furious. How do you want to handle this? Legally and thoroughly. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling our attorney. We're going to document everything, press criminal charges, and sue for damages. But first, I need to fire Destiny in a way that doesn't tip them off that we know the full extent of their scheme. The next morning, I called Destiny into my office. I've been reviewing our operational efficiency, I began calmly, and I've decided to restructure. Your position is being eliminated. This isn't performance-related, it's strategic. You'll receive 2 weeks severance and we'll provide a neutral reference. Her face went pale then red. You're firing me? After everything I've done for this company. After everything you've done to this company, you're getting off easy. You have 1 hour to clear your desk and return all company property. Andre will escort you. This is unfair. I'll sue for wrongful termination. You're an at-will employee in an at-will state. You can certainly try to sue. I wouldn't recommend it. I held her gaze until she looked away. 1 hour, Destiny. After she left, I sat at my desk and allowed myself exactly 5 minutes to feel the betrayal. To process that my own blood had orchestrated this. Then I called my attorney and declared war. The lawsuit hit them like a freight train. We filed civil suits against Destiny, Tracy, and Mark for fraud, embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duty, and tortious interference with business relationships. Total damages claimed $3.2 million. We also reported the embezzlement to the district attorney's office, which opened a criminal investigation. Tracy called me 73 times in the first 24 hours. I didn't answer. Finally, she showed up at my office building, screaming in the lobby until security escorted her out. You're destroying your own family over money, she shrieked as guards led her away. We were just trying to build something for ourselves. You're so selfish. The irony wasn't lost on me. They'd literally stolen from my company to fund their competitor, but I was the selfish one. Mark tried a different approach. He sent emails, calm, rational-sounding messages about resolving this family dispute privately and not airing our dirty laundry in court. His lawyer sent a settlement offer. They'd dissolve Elite Cleaning Solutions and return any remaining funds in exchange for me dropping all charges. How much is remaining? I asked my attorney. According to their financial disclosure, about $8,000. They've already spent the rest on equipment and hiring. So they want to steal $300,000, spend it all, return $8,000 and call it even? I laughed bitterly. Absolutely not. We proceed. Discovery was brutal for them. We had Destiny's emails discussing the theft. We had bank records showing the transfers. We had testimony from employees they tried to recruit, including my amazing night crew supervisor Maria, who'd recorded a conversation where Destiny offered her 20% more pay to sabotage Clean Slate's largest accounts before jumping ship. She told me to deliberately do bad work so clients would fire you, Maria testified during her deposition, her voice shaking with anger. She said you were a lucky idiot who didn't deserve success, and that I should help take you down. I told her to go to hell and reported it to HR the next day. But I guess my report went to her, so nothing happened. That detail destroyed me. Maria had tried to protect me, but the rot had gone so deep that her warning never reached me. I gave her a $5,000 bonus and promoted her to regional supervisor. The preliminary hearing was set for April. In the meantime, my family went scorched earth. They couldn't fight me legally. The evidence was overwhelming. So they fought me socially. Mama Ruth called every extended family member, every church friend, every person we'd ever known, spinning a story about how I'd become a cruel, money-obsessed corporate monster who was prosecuting my own family over a simple misunderstanding. My cousin Darlene called, crying. Shanice, how could you? Tracy said she borrowed some money to start a business and now you're trying to send her to prison. She's your sister. Did Tracy mention that she borrowed by creating fake vendor accounts and stealing? Or that she partnered with my ex-husband specifically to destroy my company? She said you were making that up to justify being vindictive. That you've always been jealous of her. Darlene, I have bank records, emails, and recorded confessions. This isn't a family disagreement. This is criminal fraud. But the damage was done. Half my extended family blocked me on social media. I was uninvited from cousin reunions and holiday gatherings. My Uncle Thomas sent an email calling me a disgrace to the family name, and saying my parents must be ashamed they raised such a heartless child. The public relations battle got worse when Tracy went to local media. A young reporter, hungry for a dramatic story, interviewed her without fact-checking. The headline read, "Successful businesswoman prosecutes sister and grandmother over family loan dispute." The article portrayed me as a vindictive millionaire crushing my poor, struggling family members who just needed help. It mentioned that I'd refused to fund my sister's boutique or help with my grandparents' home repairs, painting me as selfish and greedy. It didn't mention the theft, the fake heart attack scam, or the deliberate sabotage of my business. Comments poured in. Rich people have no loyalty. This is why capitalism is evil. Imagine suing your own grandmother. Disgusting. I sat in my office reading the vitriol, my hands shaking. James found me there at 9 p.m. still staring at the screen. You're here late. Have you seen this? I showed him the article. He glanced at it and snorted. Amateur journalism. Did they contact you for comment? No. Just ran with whatever Tracy told them. Then we respond. Not through media, through the legal system. Your attorney will file a formal response with evidence. The truth will come out in court. He sat down across from me. Shanice, do you remember what I told you when we first met? That I admired your character. Yes. This is the test of that character. Not building a successful business. That's just skill and hard work. This right here, when your own blood is poisoning the well and the world believes their lies. This is where character either breaks or crystallizes into something unbreakable. Don't let them break you. The courtroom was smaller than I expected and colder. I sat at the plaintiff's table with my legal team, watching Tracy, Mark, and Destiny file in with their attorney. My sister wouldn't look at me. Mark stared straight ahead, jaw tight. Destiny looked defiant. Our attorney, Elizabeth Bennett, was a fierce woman in her 50s who'd built her career on corporate fraud cases. Remember, she whispered to me, stay calm no matter what they say. Don't react emotionally. The facts are on our side. Their attorney, a man named Roberts, tried immediately to paint this as a family dispute rather than criminal fraud. Your Honor, this is a tragic case of family miscommunication escalating into unnecessary litigation. Ms. Patterson is prosecuting her own sister, her former husband, and a valued employee over what amounts to a business disagreement. Elizabeth stood smoothly. Your Honor, The defense would like to characterize embezzlement, identity theft, and systematic fraud as miscommunication. The evidence shows otherwise. We have documented proof of over $300,000 stolen through fake vendor accounts, intercepted client communications to sabotage business relationships, and conspiracy to destroy the plaintiff's company. This isn't family drama, it's organized crime. The judge, a stern woman named Hargrove, looked over her glasses at both tables. I've reviewed the preliminary evidence. Mr. Roberts, your characterization is disingenuous at best. We'll proceed with the facts. Ms. Bennett, call your first witness. We started with Andre, my CFO, who methodically walked the court through the financial fraud. Then came Maria, whose testimony about being recruited to sabotage accounts made even the bailiff wince. Then came Robert Henderson, who testified about Destiny's attempts to steal his account while pretending to represent Clean Slate. She told me Miss Patterson was overwhelmed and unstable, Henderson said clearly. She suggested I'd receive better service from her new company, Elite Cleaning Solutions. When I asked how she could guarantee that, she said she had insider knowledge of all Clean Slate's operational weaknesses because she'd been running the company behind the scenes while Miss Patterson took credit. Mark's lawyer tried to discredit him. Isn't it true that you and Ms. Patterson have a personal relationship that might bias your testimony? We have a professional relationship, Henderson replied coolly. She provides excellent service and I pay her for it. If that's bias, then every satisfied customer in America is biased. The courtroom tittered. Judge Hargrove gavelled once. Continue, Ms. Bennett. On day 3 I took the stand. Roberts came at me hard. Ms. Patterson, isn't it true that you refused to help your family financially despite having millions of dollars? I gave my father $60,000 when told he needed emergency surgery. I learned later that was largely a scam. Insurance covered his costs, but my family decided to keep my money anyway as back payment for raising me. Roberts pressed harder. But you did refuse subsequent requests for help. Your sister wanted to start a business, something you of all people should understand. You refused to invest in her dreams. I refused to give my sister $40,000 after learning she'd lied to me about my father's medical emergency. But let me be clear about something. I looked directly at Tracy. If she'd come to me honestly before the scam, before the lies, and asked for help starting a business, I would have helped her. I would have mentored her, connected her with resources, maybe even invested if her business plan was solid. But that's not what happened. Instead, she partnered with my ex-husband and planted an operative in my company to steal from me and destroy what I'd built. That's not asking for help. That's declaring war. Your Honor, that's inflammatory, Roberts started. It's also true, Counselor, according to the evidence. Overruled. Judge Hargrove gestured to me. Continue, Ms. Patterson. They didn't want my help or my mentorship. They wanted my money without earning it, and when I wouldn't give it, they decided to take it. The prosecution has shown emails where Destiny explicitly discusses bleeding the company dry before we launch. Where Mark jokes about making my ex pay for leaving me. Where Tracy says, and I quote, "Shanice always thought she was better than me. Time to prove she's not." Elizabeth pulled up the emails on the courtroom screen. There they were, words my own sister had written, dripping with resentment and malice. The courtroom went silent. Even Roberts looked uncomfortable. Tracy's face crumpled. "Shanice, please. I'm sorry. I was angry and hurt and—" "Ms. Patterson, you'll have your chance to testify," Judge Hargrove said firmly. "For now, remain silent." But the damage was done. The jury, this was a civil trial but we'd requested a jury, had seen everything. The fake vendor accounts. The intercepted emails. The recorded conversations about sabotage. The business plan literally titled Project Takedown. When Tracy took the stand in her own defense, she cried. She talked about always feeling overshadowed by me, about how our parents favored me, about feeling desperate and poor while I built my empire. "I just wanted something of my own," she sobbed. "I made mistakes, but I'm still her sister. Family should forgive." Did you consider Ms. Patterson family when you created fake companies to steal from her? Elizabeth asked coldly. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was hurt. Were you hurt when you told employees to sabotage her clients? When you encouraged your co-conspirators to make her suffer? That's in your text messages to Mr. Harrison, marked as Exhibit 47. Tracy had no answer. Mark fared worse. He tried to claim he'd been a passive investor who didn't know about the theft. Then Elizabeth produced text messages where he'd specifically instructed Destiny on which clients to target and how to cover their tracks. His credibility evaporated. The verdict took 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge ordered them to pay $3.2 million in damages plus legal fees, and referred the case for criminal prosecution. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt hollow. The money meant nothing. They didn't have $3.2 million to pay. Their assets would be seized, wages garnished for years, but I'd likely never see most of it. The criminal case meant Destiny would probably serve 18 months, while Tracy and Mark, as first-time offenders with good lawyers, might get probation. Justice had been served, but it didn't heal anything. It couldn't undo the betrayal or erase the fact that my own blood had tried to destroy me. Victory tasted like ashes. The media finally corrected their story. Business owner wins $3.2 million judgment against family members who embezzled funds. Comments flipped. She was right to sue. Family or not, theft is theft. I'd have done the same thing. But I didn't want vindication from strangers. I needed, this to have never happened at all. I wanted a family who'd been proud of me from the start, who'd celebrated rather than sabotaged. I wanted people who loved me without price tags attached. James found me in my office again, this time staring at a photo from my childhood. Me, Tracy, and our parents at a park, all smiling. "You won," he said gently. "Did I? I destroyed my family relationships. I'm estranged from everyone I grew up with, and I still go home to an empty apartment. Some victory. Shanice, they destroyed those relationships, not you. You just refused to let them destroy you too." He sat down, his voice soft. "Can I tell you something? I built my first company in my 20s. When it took off, my brother, my best friend, embezzled from me $200,000. I caught him and I faced the same choice you did. Prosecute or let family slide. What did you do?" "I let it slide. Told myself family was more important than money. Know what happened? He did it again. And again. Drained $750,000 before I finally pressed charges. By then the company barely survived. I learned a hard lesson. People who love you don't steal from you, and people who steal from you don't love you. Enforcing boundaries isn't cruelty. It's survival." His words cracked something open in my chest. Tears I'd been holding back for months finally spilled over. I just wanted them to be proud of me. Is that stupid? No, honey. That's human. But you can't force people to be who you need them to be. You can only decide who you'll allow to stay in your life. He squeezed my shoulder. Build your family from people who celebrate you, not from DNA that resents you. 3 months after the verdict, my grandmother died. Heart failure, sudden and complete. Tracy called, the first time we'd spoken since the trial. "Mama Ruth is gone. Funeral's Saturday. The family, they said to tell you that you're not welcome." I sat with that for a moment. My grandmother, who'd raised me, who'd taught me to cook and pray and iron clothes with sharp creases, who'd also called me stupid and sided with people stealing from me. Complex humans are the hardest to grieve. "I'll send flowers," I said quietly. "Take care of yourself, Tracy." "Wait, Shanice, her voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I know it's too late and I know I destroyed everything, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I was jealous and petty and I convinced myself you owed me something just for existing. I ruined us." "You did," I agreed, and there was no satisfaction in saying it. Just sadness. "I would have given you the world, Tracy. If you just asked without the poison attached, I'd have helped you build anything you wanted. But you chose to tear me down instead." "I know. I replay it constantly. The moment I could have just been happy for you, supported you, been your sister. Instead, I tried to take everything." He was crying now. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just needed you.